This is Denari Advanced Reporting Part 2. In this section we are talking about extended name segmenter. Extended name segmenter primarily gets used for mailing purposes or producing a mailing list, and it's used to combine segments together. And we'll look at why we need to do that sometimes. It's found on the Donors tab. We're going to go here to Extended Name Segmenter, and here we see a list of extended segments that have already been created, and again we can save these and run them over and over again. Now let's imagine that we want to do a mailing to all the people who have given a gift in some date range, and we also want to do a mailing or include in that mailing all the people who have a certain classification. You might have people that have that classification that haven't given a gift. So if you create a name segment, because of that AND operator, you will choose that classification and also choose the filter that identifies anybody who's given a gift, and your output from the name segment is going to give you those people that have that classification and have given a gift. So in other words, there's going to be a group of people who haven't given a gift that have the classification who will be left out of that mailing from name segmenter, or out of that output from name segmenter. So we need a way to combine those two lists together into one single list. We do that by creating two separate name segments, one that identifies the group of people that have given the gift, and the other one that identifies the group of people that have that classification. And then we want to put them together, and we do that using Extended Name Segmenter. So let's take a look at that. We'll click on Add New, and the first thing we'll do is give it a description. So I'm just going to call this DS Extended, and we'll choose an output type. Almost always that's going to be Excel, because you're going to be merging this into a Word document or sending this off to a mailing house. But primarily, as I said, this is a mailing list type of tool, although it can be used for other things. And then we're going to hit Save. And we'll come back and talk about these check boxes here in a few minutes, but we want to first of all build our filter by clicking on the Edit Extended Segment Filters link. This page is not the most intuitive page, but the first thing we want to do is click on the button that has this little plus and filter. What that's really saying is add an and filter. So we'll do that. And we get a page here, or a line, that shows us 3 empty spaces. These are spaces where we can choose name segments. So in this first segment, let's choose the group of people that have given us a gift in a date range. And I'll just pick one here. We'll pretend that that's what this name segment's going to give us. And then over here in this one, I'm going to choose the segment that's going to give us the people that have that classification. Now, we only have the 2 segments, and so we can kind of leave this as it is, but I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I can come up here, since we're only using 2, I can click the little drop down and choose 2. And Denari is now going to kind of clean up that line for me so that it only includes these 2 segments. Now, notice that we have the OR operator between. So when we run the extended name segment, we get anybody who is in this segment, anybody who's given us a gift in that date range, or anybody who is in this segment, the people who have that classification. And Denari is smart enough to figure out that if somebody shows up in both of those groups, they're only going to put them in the output one time. So we have a consolidated mailing list now of those 2 groups of people. We can also, if we want to, extend this out to the right up to 9 spaces. So in other words, we have room here for 9 name segments with an OR operator between them. We can identify 9 separate groups of people and combine them into one list using these OR operators. But let's say that we want to create a situation where we have an AND operator between these groups of people. In other words, both things have to be true. So we click the little button again here, and Denari now puts in for us a second row. And between the row, notice we have the AND operator. Just for simplicity's sake, let me change this to 1. And so now we can create or select this second name segment with an AND operator between them. And AND means that both things have to be true. So in other words, in order to appear in the output, the name record has to show up in this name segment, and it also has to be in this name segment. So both things have to be true in order to show up in the output. And again, Denari is going to consolidate that list in the mailing. We also have this little not in checkbox next to the fields here. That in effect takes this group out of the mailing. So now we're saying give us anybody who shows up in this name segment but is not, and is not, in this name segment. So Denari will find all these people and subtract them from this list and give us the output in that format. So again, we can basically exclude groups of people by using that not in checkbox. And we can click this little button over here and put in 9 rows of AND operators on down the page, and again we can go 9 to the right of OR operators. So we have 9 by 9 name segments here that we can use and be as complicated as we want to be if you're able to conceive of all of that. So it's a pretty powerful tool. Now once we've got our segments the way we want them, I'm just going to change this back here for a minute. Let's go back to this one, to the 2. And we'll delete our second line. And now once we have our filters the way we want them to be, we can click on Save Segments. I'm then going to close my tab, and this takes us back to that main page. Now even though we can't see this here, those filters we just set up are still there. Now we're ready for our output. We've already chosen Excel, and so just like we saw with GIF segmenter, we can choose groups of information to go into that output. So for example, we want the donor basic information, which is going to be the name and address and so forth. We also have other options here. For example, we can put email fields in the output if we wanted to. We can put mail merge file fields, which are the line 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5 fields, and so forth. So you can experiment a little bit with some of these to see what you actually get in the output, but you can kind of then confine the spreadsheet to more or less what you want there. So that's extended name segmenter. Again, gives us quite a bit of flexibility. Now one final thing we want to look at, under the Donors tab, we also have name segmenter output. Now one of the problems we've always had with name segmenter is that when you output that to Excel, it gives you this big old Mambo spreadsheet that has way more information in it than you want, and so your choice is to basically go through the spreadsheet and delete the columns you don't want, or use this name segmenter output. And here we can select the name segment that we've already created, choose our output type. Most of the time, again, it's going to be Excel, and now we have those same sets of fields that we can check to kind of make the name segment output a little bit smaller. So we can again choose whichever groups we want, and then we click on Run the Segment Output, and we'll now get the name segment output, but with the spreadsheet that's more or less the size that we want it to be. Now that concludes advanced reporting, with one exception, and that is the ability to link GIF segmenter to name segmenter with some the limitations. We've looked at this before in a sense. Well, let me get a name segment open here so we can look at it. We looked at how we could link a GIF segment to name segmenter to get some set of GIFs. So basically here in this field, we're just going to choose our GIF segment. Let's say it's that group of people that gave to a certain appeal code, and this becomes then the filter for the name segment, which outputs the list of names, and anybody then that gave to that appeal shows up in the output. But we have some other options here. Under the Giving Statistics section, we see we have this gift segment field. why is this here? Why use that instead of this? This then causes this filter to be applied to just this set of gifts. So in other words, we select that gift segment, and now we say we only want people, of those people who gave to that appeal code, we only want those people who have given $500 or more in the date range. So we're filtering here against this set of names. And we've got the same things down here in first gift and last gift. So first gift, for example, we could say give us all the people who have given for the very first time to that appeal code by bringing in that gift segment down there. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense to you, and that concludes advanced reporting.